Ilmeldung, die Hochzeitsklicken von Ji Hyun Woo und Lee Se-hee lauten, IHR Morchen Word Baldoir. Could it be true? Are the stars of one of Korea's most beloved dramas finally stepping into their own real-life love story? Whispers of romance have long surrounded Ji Hyun Woo and Lee Se-hee, but now, wedding bells are no longer just a dream, they're a promise. What led to this emotional turning point? Did a fictional couple turn their on-screen chemistry into forever? Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover the full story behind the fairy tale that's about to become reality. Could a fairy tale born under the studio lights truly find its way into reality? As wedding bells prepare to ring for Ji Hyun Woo and Lee Se-hee, the line between fiction and real life blurs in a way that neither fans nor industry insiders saw coming, yet deep down, perhaps everyone always hoped for. What began as a scripted romance has blossomed into one of South Korea's most captivating real-life love stories, and now, the nation is holding its breath as two of its most cherished stars prepare to say, I do. The first whispers of romance were soft, so soft, in fact, that most people dismissed them. When Ji Hyun Woo and Lee Se-hee starred opposite one another in the KBS 2 hit drama Young Lady and Gentleman, audiences were immediately taken by their electric chemistry. Their characters danced through love, heartbreak, misunderstandings, and reunion with such natural warmth that many viewers admitted forgetting they were watching a scripted show. There was something in the way Ji Hyun Woo looked at her, not as a co-star, but with an intensity that seemed to seep through the screen. And Lee Se-hee, ever the graceful performer, responded with glances and silences that spoke volumes. Critics raved about their performances. Fans rewatched episodes with new eyes. But no one imagined that the most compelling scene of all was playing out when the cameras stopped rolling. Behind the scenes, stories began to emerge. Makeup artist on the set spoke in hushed tones about how Ji Hyun Woo never once looked at another actress the same way. A lighting crew member noticed how often he found excuses to stay behind after scenes with Lee Se-hee, lingering just a few seconds longer than necessary. Then came the telltale signs, the shared laughter that didn't seem part of the script. The subtle touches. The way she looked at him during breaks, soft, focused, full of a quiet affection. But nothing compared to the moment that changed everything. During the drama's final wrap party, in a move that sent shockwaves through both the cast and the public, Ji Hyun Woo stood up in front of the entire team, cast, crew, press, and all, and said with unwavering sincerity, I want to tell everyone something. I have feelings for Lee Se-hee. The room fell silent. For a long moment, the only sound was the soft clink of glasses being set down. No one quite knew whether this was a publicity stunt, a joke, or a genuine confession. But Ji Hyun Woo wasn't smiling. His expression was one of quiet certainty. The kind of look a man gives when he's no longer afraid of consequences. All eyes turned to Lee Se-hee. She looked stunned. Her lips parted. But no words came out. Her fingers curled slightly on the table. And then, she smiled. It wasn't wide or dramatic. It was soft, trembling, filled with emotion. She didn't speak that night. But she didn't have to. The world had seen enough. The agencies scrambled. Ji Hyun Woo's representatives released a cautious statement, we were unaware of this announcement. It appears to have been a personal expression. Lee Se-hee's camp was even more cryptic, we ask for understanding and respect during this private moment. There were no denials. No clarifications, just an uncomfortable silence that hinted at something too raw, too real to contain. 4 months afterward, nothing was confirmed. Fans speculated. Rumors flew. Every photo, every public appearance was dissected for clues. They were never seen together, yet never seemed apart. Ji Hyun Woo would mention her name in interviews with a strange warmth in his tone. Lee Se-hee would blush slightly when asked about her ideal type. Each of them walked a tightrope between secrecy and honesty, trying to protect something delicate from being crushed under the weight of public scrutiny. And then came the Europe trip. It started with a blurry photo. A couple standing in front of a cathedral in Prague. The angle was odd. The lighting poor, but eagle-eyed fans noticed a familiar curve of Ji Hyun Woo's shoulders. The silhouette of Lee Se-hee's side profile. Within hours, social media erupted. Is this them? Are they traveling together? Some dismissed it as a coincidence. Others pointed out the matching bracelets. The identical phone cases glimpsed in separate photos posted weeks apart. The agencies denied everything. They were not on vacation together, they insisted. But the photos kept coming, Always from afar. Always unconfirmed. But always with a spark of something undeniable. The turning point came when Lee Se-hee was spotted wearing what fans believed was a ring on her left hand. It wasn't flashy, not a diamond, but a simple band that hadn't been there before. When asked about it during a press conference for her next project, she simply smiled and said, "Some things are better left a mystery." It wasn't a denial. It was a doorway. Slowly, the tide turned. The public no longer demanded proof. They believed. They wanted to believe. The couple had become a symbol of something rare and beautiful, a love that didn't need validation to exist. And quietly, away from the cameras and spotlights, that love was growing. Friends close to both actors began to share guarded details. That Hyun had met Lee Se-hee's parents during a private dinner. That he had spoken to his own family about his intentions. Wedding bells were no longer a matter of if, but when. Still, they kept their silence. Until today. The news broke that Hyun and Lee Se-hee would officially marry later this year. The entertainment world stood still. Fans cried. Reporters rushed to confirm details. Social media platforms across Korea, Japan, Germany, and the Philippines exploded with messages of joy and disbelief. But more than anything, there was this collective sigh of relief, because the fairy tale so many had secretly rooted for was finally, undeniably, real. The joint statement from their agencies was simple, heartfelt, and elegant. "We are pleased to announce that actors Hyun and Lee Se-hee will be getting married in a private ceremony with close family and friends. The date and venue will remain confidential to respect the couple's wishes. We ask for your continued support and warm blessings as they begin this new chapter of their lives." No extravagant details. No red carpet show. Just a quiet, dignified promise. And yet, the world felt louder than ever. In the days that followed, fans began sharing their favorite scenes from Young Lady and Gentleman. Clips of the couple's most emotional moments trended on every major platform. People wrote letters, poems, essays about how their love had inspired them. One even started a campaign to petition for a special drama reunion episode, just to see them together on screen one more time before the wedding. But perhaps the most touching response came from one fan who wrote, "Watching their story unfold over the years gave me hope. I was going through a divorce, and their quiet love reminded me that love doesn't have to be loud to be real. Sometimes, it's just two people choosing each other again and again, no matter what." That's what this love story was, a series of choices. Choosing to stay quiet when the world demanded noise. Choosing to protect each other when the spotlight grew too bright. Choosing to be patient when the timing wasn't perfect. Choosing to believe, again and again. They had was worth the wait. And now, as the wedding bells draw closer, their story enters its most beautiful chapter yet. They've walked through uncertainty, whispers, and distance. But always together. And somewhere, in the privacy of their shared world, perhaps Hyun still looks at Lee Se-hee the way he did on set, not as a scene partner, but as the woman who changed his life, and who will soon be his wife. As the days ticked down toward the wedding, the air around them changed. It wasn't just anticipation, it was reverence. Fans who had watched Hyun and Lee Se-hee fall in love on screen and quietly root for their real-life happiness were now witnesses to something rare and extraordinary. There are celebrity weddings. And then there are love stories that seem fated, woven between fiction and reality. Stardom and sincerity. Theirs was the latter. A fairy tale slowly stepping into the light. Though their agencies remained tight-lipped about the location and exact date, rumors began to swirl. Be intimate. Elegant. Possibly outdoors, some whispered about a serene garden estate in the countryside, far from the noise of Seoul. Friends in the industry dropped hints without ever confirming. One stylist posted an Instagram story of a white lace dress on a mannequin with no caption. A wedding planner known for high-profile ceremonies liked a fan comment that simply said, "Can't wait to see the floral arch." Midst of the speculation, Hyun made a quiet move. He released a handwritten letter on his official fan cafe. Just one page. Neatly written. Dramatic language, just truth. "I've lived many lives on screen. But this one, this chapter, is mine. She sees me for who I am. Not as an actor, but as the man behind the roles. It hasn't been easy keeping something so important away from the public. But we wanted to be sure that our hearts were steady. That our love was real beyond the cameras. And now, we are. Thank you for standing with us. I promise. This is only the beginning. The post was signed, simply, Hyun Woo. It went viral in minutes. Not because of scandal, but because of sincerity. The way I wrote this chapter is mine moved people deeply. Comment sections filled with congratulations, well wishes, and even confessions of envy. I want someone to write about me like this. One fan posted. Another said. We didn't lose an actor, we gained a love story. Lee Se-hee, always more private, released her thoughts through her agency. But those close to her shared more intimate details. A longtime friend revealed that Lee Se-hee had kept a journal since the start of their drama. In it, she wrote about how he made her laugh between takes and how there were days when just seeing his silhouette on set made the world feel safer. One particular entry simply read, I think I'm in trouble. I miss him even when he's standing right next to me. And, quietly, she added a quote to her personal Instagram bio. Not every fairy tale begins with a kiss. Some start with a quiet look across the room. Wedding day approaching. The couple turned inward. They met with family. Planned a simple, heartfelt ceremony. There would be no press coverage, no interviews, no elaborate performance. Just love. Just the people who mattered. The night before the wedding, a rehearsal dinner was held under fairy lights and pine trees. Soft music played in the background, blending with the gentle sounds of laughter and clinking glasses. Hyun Woo stood and raised a toast. It's quiet but clear. I've lived most of my life pretending to be other people. But with her, I learned how to be myself. Lee Se-hee didn't just fall in love with the image, she loved the version of me that was most vulnerable. And in doing so, she helped me become whole again. Waited a long time to say this. Tomorrow, I marry my home. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Lee Se-hee didn't say much that evening. He reached for his hand beneath the table and whispered. For waiting, he nodded. No words were needed. Then came the morning of the wedding. The sun rose gently, casting gold over the hills where the ceremony would take place. The air smelled of lavender and fresh dew. The venue, a private garden surrounded by trees and white rose bushes, had been transformed into a quiet dreamscape. Petals lined the path. Strings of soft lights dangled from branches. The only sounds were the rustling of leaves and the occasional bird song, like nature itself had paused to witness something sacred. Guests arrived in muted tones, respecting the couple's wish for simplicity. No media vans. No flashing cameras. Just a close circle of friends, family, and a few co-stars who had walked with them through both fiction and life. Hyun Woo waited at the altar, dressed in a classic black tuxedo. His hands clasped tightly. His eyes scanned the pathway. His breath shallow. And then, she appeared. Se-hee, dressed in an ivory gown that seemed to glow from within, stepped forward. Her hair was swept back into a gentle bun. Eyes glistened not with tears, but with clarity. She wasn't nervous. She was ready. Walking toward the man who had watched her bloom from scene partner to soulmate. Each step she took was a vow in motion. Ceremony was brief, beautiful, and unforgettable. They exchanged personal vows. No scripts. Just the raw truth of hearts laid bare. I once believed I was meant to walk alone, Hyun Woo said. Then you arrived, not with thunder or fireworks. With silence and sincerity. And everything changed. Lee Se-hee looked into his eyes. I didn't know how to be brave until I loved you. You gave me space to grow, and roots to stay. I promise to choose you every day. No matter the season. Their first kiss as husband and wife was tender. Deliberate. It wasn't for show, it was for them. Applause followed, but not the loud kind. Soft, respectful. Filled with tears and smiles and the unspoken understanding that something profound had just occurred. Outside the venue, a small group of fans stood behind the gate. They had brought handmade signs that read congratulations, and you two give us hope. Hyun Woo and Lee Se-hee walked to them hand in hand, bowed, and smiled. They didn't speak. Their eyes did all the talking. Later that evening, they held a private dinner under the stars. Friends gave speeches. Someone sang their toast from young lady and gentleman, causing laughter and nostalgia to wash over the group. It was a celebration not of fame or glamour, but of love that had endured and prevailed. They didn't fly off to an exotic honeymoon the next day. Instead, they retreated to a quiet cottage in the Korean countryside. No cameras. No schedule. Just each other. Spent mornings walking barefoot through wildflower fields. Afternoons sipping tea by the window. Evenings curled up by the fire. Reading lines to each other, not for an audition, but just for the joy of it. They let the world move on without them, just for a while. When they returned to the public eye, something had changed. Not dramatically, but clearly. They stood closer, spoke softer, looked at each other more freely. And one day, during a short interview at a charity event, a reporter asked, "What's the biggest change after marriage?" Hyun smiled and replied, "I no longer act alone." Lee Se-hee, standing beside him, nodded and added, "I found my scene partner for life." Their fans erupted with love all over again. Industry, too, softened. Producers, hesitant to cast real-life couples, now saw them as a symbol of authenticity. Offers poured in, not because they were popular, but because they were trusted, admired, believed in. In time, they chose to act together again, not as a marketing ploy, but as a tribute. A gentle drama about love after marriage. Story of two people learning how to stay in love, not just fall into it. It mirrored their journey. And when it aired, fans tuned in, not just for entertainment, to witness something real. Their marriage became more than a personal milestone. It became a cultural moment. A reminder that fairy tales can be quiet. That love doesn't need grand gestures or headlines to be true. That sometimes the most beautiful romances are the ones that take their time. They live simply. Two actors. Two artists. Hearts that chose each other in a world full of noise. Somewhere on a bookshelf in their shared home. Perhaps it's the very first script from Young Lady and Gentleman, dog-eared, highlighted, marked with notes and memories. A relic from where it all began. A reminder that every great story needs only two things, truth and time. And in the case of Ji Hyun and Lee Se-hee, both were given in abundance. Thank you for sharing in this extraordinary love story with us. Until we meet again, may your own journey be filled with quiet miracles, honest hearts, and fairy tales that come true. Next time on Red Carpet Revealed.